A look at what moved the markets today. As promised, Julia Lee joins us now from Bell Direct. She's in Sydney. Good afternoon, Julia. The Australian share market has ended lower but better than the losses from this morning. So all in all, not too bad.
Nadine, it was a pretty poor start this morning for the Australian share market, and that was off the back of a poor lead from Wall Street, where the Dow lost more than 1%, and also a fall in oil as well as gold prices. But you can see that the market started to improve, and by lunchtime, the Australian market was looking much better. There's a couple of pieces of data which came out around the region to influence the market. First of all, we saw PPI numbers, the producer price index numbers, which were very moderate, and so that caused the market to reprice its expectation for a 50 basis point rise next week on Melbourne Cup Day. Also out of South Korea, we saw GDP numbers and growth numbers there, the strongest that we've seen since 2002 in 7 years. So that gave the Kospi a boost, as well as the Japanese Nikkei. So with markets around the region actually posting positive performances, that gave the Australian market a boost as well. If we have a look at sectors, the worst performing sectors on our markets were the property, the industrials, as well as the material sectors. So investors once again were selling out of growth, and the best performing sector was actually the information technology area. If we have a look at some of the big movers for the day, sentiment Egypt was a very interesting one. It was issued a speeding fine by the ASX, the company saying that it's not aware of any information that's not already in the public domain for the share price action that we've seen. In fact, the shares rose a massive 12% today, and if I bring up a chart of their share price in the last week, this is what it looks like. It looks like investors have been getting behind the stock because it has moved from the AIM, the AIM boards, to the main London Stock Exchange boards. And on Friday on the London Stock Exchange, we saw its stock up by 7.5%. So a negative move in gold prices certainly didn't hurt this stock too much today, up a massive 12%. Also, Argo Investments having a relatively good day. Its stock was up by 0.9%. The company did say that it sees some positive life in the next half, so that was good news for the stock. So altogether, the Australian market down by 0.6%, but much better than we started off the morning.
Okay, so Julia, just taking a closer look at another company, CSR, in a trading halt today. It's just the latest in a long string to look at capital raising.
CSR is looking at a capital raising, and the reason for its capital raising is the demerger that it's looking at between its sugar and renewable energy business. Now, the extra funds that it's looking to raise is so that none of these two separated units will have too much of a debt burden. Now, brokers have always been a little bit cautious about CSR and the demerger, because it may highlight some of the underperforming businesses, in particular the glass business, and indeed we saw that today. We saw a write-down in the first half, a huge write-down which saw a net loss of $155 million, and that write-down was $200 million from the glass business. Of course, if we exclude the items, then we saw a net profit of $96.6 million. So this capital raising will be a 7 for 40 issue, and it will be done at a discounted price. So if we have a look at CSR's share price, this is for 2009. The discount is at $1.66, so it's about a 16% discount. CSR shares in a trading halt until the institutional component is completed.
Felix Resources shares, Julia, doing really well today, up about 4%. That's after news that the FIRB has approved that Yangzhou bid. Tell us about that one.
No doubt China has been watching this one quite closely, but Felix Resources had a good day, up by 4%. So if we have a look at Felix Resources, this is in the past week. Its shares trading very well. Now, the government and through the Foreign Investment Review Board has approved the deal with some specific conditions. So Yangzhou has managed to get its bid over the line for Felix Resources in terms of government approval. There are some special conditions imposed, including having to float 30% of Felix Resources back onto the Australian share market by the end of 2012, and that will be under a new name, Yangzhou Coal. I guess some of the other players will be closely watching this. At the moment, we've got Bayer still looking to resubmit its FIRB application for 15% of the Quilla, and also Sinochem making its bid for New Farm as well. So China will be very closely watching this. This will be the biggest investment into Australia by China.
Yeah, landmark decision. Okay, Julia, thanks so much for your time again this afternoon. We'll speak with you tomorrow.
Thanks, Nadine.